Formula Black player analysis in detail. In this video, I'm going to take you through the player analysis functionality with each section covered in a bit more detail than the overview video, which is also available. So the first section we have here is the period, and this is the look back. So we want to look at the analysis, the amount of time we're going to go back in with the game. So you could just look at the current manager, which might be relevant, for example, with Kenny Dalglish at Liverpool, which has only taken over a certain number of games. If the manager's been there a long time, then this isn't as relevant. The last 50 games is not a bad way of getting a half decent sample size. You can choose this season and last, or you can go all the way back to 2006, 2007. So depending on which one you choose, you're going to get more players thrown up here if they've been there a long time. And if you want to include players which have played maybe for a different league halfway through the season, then it'll include that data as well. Linked to this, if you wanted to include former players, so let's include former Chelsea players in this list here. It's going to take some time because there's been quite a few of them. It shows me all the players that have played since 06, 07. If you wanted to do this analysis, or if there's a player that's moved on to another team and you wanted to see how it performed when it was playing at the last club, then this will allow you to perform that analysis. So let's go back to the last 50 games. If you wanted to, you can see how certain teams, certain players react to whether they're playing home or away. You can see, let's have a look at Manchester United. I'm going to look here at Berbatov. Away specifically. So away, he has averaged 2.03 points per game. And they win 59% of the time when he's playing with them away, but at home, he strangely hasn't done as well with the lower. Well, actually, he's not played that many games away, so that's why that statistic there might be a bit skewed. Right, so that's the selection tab. We can break down how particular players perform against certain types of sides. So maybe certain players are better at breaking down bottom sides, or maybe certain players, naming no names, are only motivated against top sides. And you can include squad players or just the team for particular matches. This icon here, if we click on it, will take you to the next upcoming match. So we have Stoke v Manchester United. It tells us what type of opposition the team is. So opposite Stoke are playing opposition type top 6. Man United are playing top 6, who Stoke currently are. And you can show last starting match lineup with subs or with squad, depending on how much detail you want to go to. And the alert here tells you who is playing and any key players absent. So I'm going to come to these percentages again in a moment, but for the moment, I just need to understand that what this is telling you is what the team is or likely to be as it understands it right now, and who the key players are that are absent, and as well as how consistent the team has been. Now, as you come up to game kickoff, you click the live lineups. Now, there's nothing going on right now, but you would click live lineups, and you'd have the teams coming up right up to the kickoff. So if we knew that there were further players absent at the last minute, or if there was some of these players coming back, then this is where we'd get that information coming through. You can change how the look back analysis takes into account whether a player played or not. So if he has to have started the match for it to have played, then you can change that here. Or if you don't mind if he didn't start the match for your analysis, then that can finish there. And if you definitely want him to finish the match for him to count as playing, then again you can play that there. And again, if you wanted to, you can do some in-play analysis as well. Now the main view we've got here is with the players. Now at this point, I'll go through some of the analysis that I skipped through earlier. So we have the points per game, which is the average points per game when this player is playing. So you need to also take into account the number of games they've actually played. So Owen has actually only played 3 games out of the last 50. and they've won 100% of them. So it's not a great sample size. So you need to take that into account. But points per game means the average points per game that the team has made when the player has been playing. Now, this statistic here, we look at the team average, which is 2.7, and this percentage is an expression of the team's average when this player is playing, the increase, the advantage of the team average in relation to it. So we can see here that, let's get an example with a number of Nani. 2.87 is the average points per game when he's playing, compared to when he's not. We can see that the average is greater, so he's got a good positive score here. So in general, I think anything with a score of 5% or higher is good. Anything with a score of 10% or higher with a significant number of games, it does lead to the idea that this player is a significant player, and if they're out, then it's worth paying attention to. Now, if we're to go to one of these players individually, so I've got here last 50 games. We've got Hernandez. We can see some further statistics which I'll explain, perhaps need a bit more explanation. The goals GPGF is the goals for per game. So how many goals that Man United score when he's playing, and the goals GPGA is the goals against when he's playing. You can look at the match goals, see where the game goes under or over 2.5 goals, Asian handicap, etc. So if you want to have a look at a detailed player analysis, then you click on the individual player here. If we go to the verses, we have, again, the players, these percentages are expressed as a percentage of the team's average. So effectively, any averages which are above the average when this player is playing, it's a very good sign. So right, so goals for and against, relatively self-explanatory. So if you didn't want to just look at match outcome, so some players may have more of an influence on the match outcome, whereas some players may have more outcome on whether there's more or less goals in the game. So this allows you to check on those. The match goals, so not just the team, but the actual match goals, whether it be over 2.5 goals, or specifically over 2.5 goals here. Again, these are expressed, this value here is expressed in relation to the team average. The no score, whether there'll be a clean sheet, etc. So that's the players. Now, if you wanted to, which is a rather interesting tab, is if you wanted to check Man United's top defensive formations. Let's reset this. Go to the players, positions, defenders. Over the last 50 games, we can see what the top defensive formations have been. So not only have certain players might be missing, you can see what formation best suits Manchester United, and if one of these players or if both of these players are missing, what impact it might have on the match. So we can see one of the good formations here might be Ferdinand and Evans, or the team average here is about around about. Team average for clean sheet is about 44%, and that's much higher when Ferdinand and Evans are playing together, and that hasn't happened much. So that statistic is a bit further out there, but above average with some reasonable sample size is Evra and Evans, and Vidic and Raphael. And below average is Vidic and Evra, which is relatively interesting. And if you wanted to look at strikers, you can see which striking formation or combinations best suit Man United here. So if you're ever in doubt what these headings are, just hold the button over it. So now let's have a look at formations. So you don't just have a look at positions, you can actually look at the formations that the team has played in. So which formation has suited Man United the most? Then we can see that 4-5-1 has been actually 4-4-2 has been the favoured option. And again, you can analyse that a bit further there. So this has been a more detailed overview of the player analysis tab, and depending on what you wanted to do, then you could really go to town on a particular formation. So obviously some of this will be dependent on knowing the formation within probably usually in the last couple of hours before the kickoff. So this will allow you to finesse any analysis you've done before. And the whole point of this, and it has been found in live application of the Formlab analysis, is that all the analysis has to be put in the context of the players who are actually playing. So if you can finesse any positions you might take based on this analysis, based on the actual players, and understanding who is valuable and who isn't, then you can improve your returns in the long run.